I just saw this. Did you guys see the breaking news this morning? So if you don't recall, just like a week or two ago, there was news that the developer of Bioshock 4, Cloud Chamber, had failed some like senior leadership review, and it was specifically failed over the story. Something about the story was so bad that executives delayed the game basically internally. They moved one of the, I believe they moved the creative director into a franchise director spot, and they're putting someone else in as creative director on the game. And then they straight up fired the studio director who had been there since they founded the studio. And they did a bunch of other stuff. Major shakeup. Something was so bad about the story that executives went scorched earth. And then just this morning, breaking news, Jason Schreier reports that Bioshock 4 developer Cloud Chamber is laying off an unspecified number of staff. Also, former Diablo boss Rod Ferguson is taking over as Cloud Chamber's new studio head. More than a decade ago, he joined the troubled Bioshock Infinite and helped salvage that game's production. Now, I don't need to tell you, okay? I don't need to tell you. It's not typically a great sign when a game that's been in the works for years and years and years is failing internal reviews and then is suffering layoffs before the game even comes out. It's not usually a sign of like a cohesive vision. It's a sign that there's some sort of dysfunction. Now, the dysfunction could be something as simple as, oh, we had a perfectionist directing the game who couldn't chill and just constantly wanted to change stuff. That could be it. That was the age-old problem with Bioshock Infinite under Ken Levine, for example, reportedly, is that he always wanted to change stuff, very much a perfectionist. So he just never could settle on one thing. He always was changing his mind. And so he needed somebody to come in and be like, nope, we're doing this, lock it in, move forward. You need, like, what Steve Jobs said is you always need a hippie with the geek or nerd. Like, you need the balancing force. Like, Neil Druckmann needs a Bruce Straley to balance him out. You know, that's what you need. And in this case, it seems like there was some imbalance and something went awry. Now, I don't have anything specific to report. I did have somebody who claimed to work at Cloud Chamber, and cursory checks did suggest that this person actually worked there. But my general rule of thumb is that unless I can get two independent sources saying the same thing, I don't run with anything. So I have nothing specific to report. But what I will say is, if what that person told me about the story was true, like, I hope if you worked at Cloud or work at Cloud Chamber and you're willing to talk to me, of course, anonymously, and share some of your experiences, please reach out. Please let me know. I'm very, very curious, because what this person said was woof. But we'll see. Again, could be, you know, an elaborate ruse, but if I get confirmation, I'll share it with you, because it's a lot. But as I've also said, typically games that are dysfunctional and that have had a lot of problems getting across the finish line, there's usually a reason for it. Like, really amazing masterpiece games don't tend to get canceled and like tossed aside. Like, typically if there's something there, people can see it, and then it sees the light of day and finds success. There's, of course, some exceptions where, you know, maybe a studio is shut down because they recently unionized and the parent company doesn't like unions, and so they shut down for that reason. Sometimes there's broader stuff like that going on, kind of more macro considerations, but the rule tends to be that if a game is having problems, it's probably not going to end up being a remarkable game, even if it sees the light of day. And for years, we have been talking about games, and we play these games, and we're like, how did this not get canceled at some point? Like, this is so bad. How did this not get shut down? How did nobody step in and go, what are we doing? Like Suicide Squad. This is so bad. What are we doing? Somehow they never did that. And, you know, steps like this are kind of a correction to that. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Strauss Zelnick was asked about this, and other executives at Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of 2K who publishes Bioshock. They were asked about this, and they said, hand on my heart, swear to God, Bioshock 4 is coming. They're not canceling it. They're not scraping it. They are committed to getting it out the door and to fixing it. And like he says here, former Diablo boss Rod Ferguson literally was brought in more than a decade ago, to fix the troubled development of Bioshock Infinite. and to get that back on track. And that's one of those examples, rare examples, of a game that was sort of in development hell and ended up being fantastic. I love Bioshock Infinite, and I think it's great. It's pretty remarkable that they were able to salvage it, because apparently it was a real mess when he came in, because it was just 15 different ideas for every single element. And so they had to sift through them and settle on stuff. But pretty insane news. And I hope they sort it out. And you never know, like, as I alluded to, if what I have heard rumblings of were true, this is probably for the best of the game. Like, it's best case for the game. But I'm going to wait till I get confirmation of that, but we'll see. Bioshock Infinite had a really terrible ending. Did it though? I was going to do this whole thing where I like started to gaslight you, and then I was going to pretend to be in another dimension, an alternative reality, and it was going to be a whole thing. But then I was like, is that really worth it? And then I chickened out, and then I explained it to you, and now we're here now.